Mani Lasani Vijay Suri Vakya Vrim Vijay. Gaur Premanandani. All glories, these are glories, all glories, these are glories, all glories. All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimati Bhakti Swami Vinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravadi Pachari Nivasheshi Srinivadi Pashta Devi. So should I speak on the Bhagavatam, or should I just do a welcome address? What should I do? The welcome address. Okay, just one other point I wanted to make to all of you is don't pass the flower around after the arati for everyone to smell. Because it's a sure way, if anyone has the virus, everyone will get the virus. I've been very, very careful, as everybody knows, and I'm still alive. Om Ganat Simaranda Shah and Anjana Swagata Children Meditam Yena Tasmai. Very happy to see everybody. And of course, this is the first temple I went to in Fiji, Krishna Kaliya Temple. So I'm remembering those days. And when I first came to Fiji, Vasudeva was actually living here, and I was recounting to Sanatan on the way here that Vasudeva and I would go swimming in Salmoni Beach. And that was in 1999. 1999, that's 22 years ago. That's before anyone here was born, right? Anyway, so you're all younger than that. Must be hard to just do it. Isn't it? You're very small. Just born. So anyway, so I've been coming here for many years, and of course the Natan was very small at that time. It's been a long voyage since then, since 99, and then Vasudeva was alive at that time. His divine grace with the Tamal Krishna Maharaj, with live Tamal Krishna Maharaj, asked me to come here to Fiji. Right before that, and I came. The first time I came was actually to help settle a legal case. I don't know if any of you remember that. It had to do with board machine days. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the details. So I spent about 2 weeks here in Krishna Kaliya Temple, and was very much appreciative of the hospitality of the devotees when I first came. I was also very much appreciative of the prasadam. And I said to Divine Grace Tamal Krishna Maharaj, prasadam here is very tasty. And then he immediately replied to me, he says, wait till you taste the politics. It's even more tasty, he said. And I thought he was just joking, but now I found out that he always speaks the absolute truth. So somehow or other, he tricked me. So anyway, it says if you really want to trick someone, you feed them, and then you can get them to do anything. So this is what he did. And I'm very happy, of course, because there's all these nice Vaishnavas here who are in the place where I think is one of the best places in the world, other than Braj, Vrindavan, for executing devotional service. Now, why is it one? I'm just thinking about this. Why is it one of the best places in the world for executing devotional service, especially if you also have politics? Well, Krishna is also a politician, so. And Krishna did so many. If you read the Mahabharata and hear the Mahabharata story, Krishna was extremely political, and he was able to out-politicize Shakuni. Mamashri. Shakuni. Shakuni was extremely political, Shakuni was a cheater, and Krishna was able to cheat him. So, anyway, politics can be used in Krishna service, but we have to be careful not to use politics to criticize Vaishnavas, because that's the most dangerous thing. Even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find the story of Ramananda Roy using politics to convince Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to meet with King Prataparudra. He keeps praising King Prataparudra, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya knows that, what's happening. He's trying to trick him. So, the most dangerous thing is committing offenses against Vaishnavas. Because when one commits an offense against the Vaishnava, or Vaishnavas, then one's attachment for Krishna becomes second class, third class, or 10th class. And one becomes unable to chant anymore. One becomes unable to associate with the devotees. And then everything is finished. So we have to really be careful to guard against offenses. And offenses come. I was also thinking about this yesterday because we were talking with Goswami about this particular subject matter. But offenses come because of false pride. Because one thinks they know better, they are better, they're more powerful, they're more intelligent, they're richer. Like Queen Kunti, we were talking about this verse yesterday. Queen Kunti has this wonderful verse, Janmaishwarya Shikashishikir, Enamana Dapuman. She says these things actually puff people up. That's Prabhupada's expression, puff up. Prabhupada used that expression, puff up, in relationship with the story of the frog. The frog who puffs up his little pouch. That frog, you ever seen it? I haven't seen it. Yeah, not big ones. In America, we have big ones like this big. And they, all night long, you can hear them during the mating season. What they're doing is this sound called rivet, rivet. Anyone heard this sound? But that sound is the frog's Bollywood song. Because the frog is actually calling for the female frog. And whoever has the best rivet gets the best female frog. So you think romance is exactly like that. There's no difference. So the frog, probably used the example of the frog because the frog has this big pouch. And he puffs it up. And of course, probably gave the example of one frog who went to the ocean and another frog. He came back to the frog in the well. And the frog in the well said, how big was the ocean? And the frog who went to the ocean said, very big. And the frog who was in the well said, it's this big. He puffed his little pouch up. And then the ocean frog said, no, bigger. The well frog kept puffing, puffing, finally, poor frog exploded. It's Prabhupada's story. And so that's where Prabhupada got the expression puffed up, proud. So according to Queen Kunti, one gets proud because of different things. Janma, that means one has a so-called good birth. Like in Fiji, that would be like if you were a Sharma, right? Or Trivedi, you don't have too many of those guys. Anyway, or Gupta, no, you don't have any Guptas yet, that's out there. So that would be considered very good, then you become very proud. I remember one time I was talking to one person here in Fiji who was Sharma. He was telling me, I'm the Brahmin, and then he went to smoke some cigarettes. And I said, what? How can you smoke cigarettes if you're a Sharma? And there's a story in Vrindavan, how devotees went to one temple in Vrindavan and were taking prasada. And the sadhu who was in charge of the temple, he hid behind the door and smoked what's called bidis. It's an Indian version of roll your own cigarettes. So, and the devotees were laughing at him because they could see him. Probably was laughing too. So, yes, one becomes proud because of their good birth, right? Good, high family. And then, Janma Aishvarya, this is a big one. Aishvarya means opulence. Now, opulence generally means, luxury, or money, or big houses, or big cars. And there's this tendency, isn't it? One becomes very proud. It changes one's personality. Just like, let me give an example of my own life. One of the devotees in America lets me use their car. It's a very fancy car, called a Tesla. So we get in the car, and I feel different. The opulence, and I just wave to all the people. Hare Krishna, here's the Hare Krishna Guru driving around opulently. It's like that. I mean, it's like changing the body. When you change your body, you actually feel different, act differently. For example, any of you men who are really handsome, what's the word for handsome in Hebrew? What? Sundar! And that's right, I should know that word. And related to Sundari. So anyway, so every man who is Sundar, you get very tall. And sometimes the men, they grow their little beards. So, I don't know where the ladies who are Sundaris, they become very proud and they decorate their little toenails isn't it? So you become very proud of your bodily beauty. Right? Sundar. So anyway, so guess what? We were talking about wealth. Yeah. I went a little ahead of myself. So we become proud of whatever we possess. And you see sometimes with the devotees, they get money all of a sudden. They make a lot of money doing something. I'm not going to mention what. Then they become so proud, oh, I don't need Krishna anymore. Right? Or when people win, you have the lottery here, the lotto. People win the lotto, destroys their lives. Because they become proud. So that's a test of a devotee, that they don't become proud. They remember that Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna, I'm simply a servant. And all this opulence, everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And He's giving me something to use. It's not mine. Nirmana Mohajit, the son of Krishna. Give up that false prestige. It's not mine. It's just Krishna's lending it to me for some time. It's like, alright, let's talk about Sundar or Sundari again. So like, Krishna lends you a young, youthful body for some time. And then, after a few years, you don't have that young, youthful body anymore. You look in the mirror, and there's an old man or an old woman looking back at you. Right? And wealth is like that too. Actually, wealth not used in the service of Krishna is compared in the Bhagavatam to, oh my God, someone who has dysentery, yellow stool. Did you know that? Like gold. Like that. And gold, wealth not used for Krishna, brings Kali. Because as we know from the Bhagavatam, Kali resides in 4 places, actually 5 places, where there's illicit sex, intoxication, eating, gambling, and wherever opulence or wealth is being hoarded for one's own personal sense gratification, used in Maya's service. So it can actually be very bewildering. Very, very bewildering. Just like you see all these wealthy people in the world, they go through one life after the other, isn't it? They're not happy. Bhukti Siddhi comes, Sakalaya Shakta. They have everything, but they're miserable. Because they don't have the real thing that makes them happy. Krishna Bhakti Nishkam. Adaiva Shakta. The real thing that makes you happy is having loving relationship with Krishna, all living entities, right? Everything else is just like a burden. I mean, use it for Krishna, but it's a burden. So Janmaishvarya, Shrutasha, that's another big bewildering factor. One who's very intelligent, and they think they know more than the devotees, they think they know more than Krishna. You know, they become Veda-Vata, they become so-called experts in Vedic literatures, chant so many mantras, and then they commit offenses. Recently, we mentioned this last night, there was one person in the country, Croatia, who committed so many offenses. He went on the internet because he thought he was so intelligent, he was criticizing hundreds of devotees, most one of them. And he was criticizing hundreds of devotees on the internet even. And the internet is a very dangerous thing. Because every fool has a voice on the internet. Previously, if you wanted to publish something, you had to have some money or some influence, right? But now any jackass can actually post something on the internet. And the thousands or millions of people will read it. Isn't that true? So he was doing that. And then recently, because of all these offenses against the Vaishnavas, because he, intelligent, he is an intelligent person, materially intelligent. Shrutasha. And then he's very sick. So his wife contacted the devotees, please forgive my husband. They contacted me. And I said, I'll forgive, but he's committed too many offenses. I don't know what Krishna's going to do. He should go publicly and apologize to everyone on the internet. I have offended you. Please forgive me. But people are so proud, they're intelligent, they will do that. Isn't it? What is the use of such intelligence? So Janmaishvarya, Shrutasha, and Sridhar, we already talked about Sridhar, Sundaras. So these things bewilder one. So one has to be very careful. Now the interesting thing about Fiji is everything's very simple. Generally the devotees are not too rich here. Some devotees have a little more money than others. But everything is really simple, and that sort of simplicity is required to be Krishna conscious. Not that one has to become ugly or poor. That's kind of funny. Of course, Krishna may arrange that. So, not that one has to be poor or ugly or stupid to be Krishna. Or have a bad birth. Be Krishna conscious. But one has to really be attached to one's identity and not identify with these external factors to avoid becoming proud. So the nice thing about Fiji is things are very simple. Life is very simple, isn't it? Simple and natural. Sometimes we see devotees, they go to Australia, New Zealand, whatever, and they give up that simplicity. Their life becomes very complicated. You ever say that in the Bible, really, that their life becomes very, very complicated, many different directions, and then they go into debt and have to pay off. For example, we go to New Zealand, you buy a house. Buy a cheap house for $1 million New Zealand dollars. That's a real cheap shack, basically. And then you have to pay it off for 30 years. And you work hard. And basically, because you're working so hard, 2 jobs, and your wife is working so hard, you don't get a chance to enjoy the house. The only person who enjoys the house is your dog. Because the dog sits home all day long and watches television. Nowadays, the dogs control the remote control of the television. Just press. Dogs. So, this is the illusion. Not only are these factors bewildering, Janmaishvarya, Shrutasha, Sridhar, but the whole illusion is that when we have them, it'll make us happy as bewildered. Krishna sends them, that's great. They can be used in Krishna's service. Like Prabhupada said, we want millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Billions. I mean, could we even use it in Krishna's service? There's no problem with this. But if that becomes one's focus, not my Ishwara Rishi Krishna Shivir, then one loses one's simplicity of Krishna consciousness. So in my own Krishna consciousness, I'm always trying to maintain that simplicity. You know, like I'm not wearing silk robes. When I first went to sannyas, it was actually an interesting story. The other sannyas, this is in 1977, when I first was sannyas, 78, so 78, beginning of 78, right after Prabhupada left the planet. All the sannyasis told me you got to have silk clothes and have embroidery all over your clothes. You know, like nice, wherever the stitches are, they have to be like diamond stitches. And then you need a Rolex watch. You know Rolex? Rolex is a very expensive watch. So, right now I just have a Samsung watch. That's too expensive. So, what I try to do throughout my own Krishna consciousness, even though, you know, we're in different situations, we may be opulent or not opulent, is just to maintain the simplicity. That's what I can learn from the devotees in Fiji. I mean, the devotees are very simple-hearted, which is good, open-hearted. Of course, not that everything's perfect. But, you know, the devotees are very open-hearted, their hearts are very open, and very loving, and service attitude. And so, if I can learn, and if we can all learn from the devotees in Fiji, the sincere, wonderful devotees in Fiji, then we'll never have any problems in spiritual life, and then we'll always be happy. So one should be happy because of the simple things of life. The chanting of Hare Krishna, the darshan of the deities, Krishna, Kaliya, Radha, Shri Shikora, the service of Srila Prabhupada, the reaching out to other people and bringing them to Krishna consciousness. And this is really what gives us happiness. Krishna Bhakti, Krishna will be peaceful. Right? And if we're thinking other things will give us happiness, then we become like this donkey running after the carrot on the stick. You understand? I think you all understand that. Let's have you get a donkey to pull a cart. You hang a carrot in front of him, and as fast as the donkey goes, the carrot also goes in front of him. So it's just, when will I get that carrot? So you just be happy. No, regardless of how beautiful or rich or intelligent or famous or whatever you are, just be happy with the simple things in life. You know, nice devotees, nice loving relationship, Adi Pati Pranati Punyo, isn't it? Agyati Prachiti, Puntevo Jitevasaya. Just be happy with that. Now the Krishna sends things, yeah, that's fine. Use it in Krishna service. That's great. It's great. I'm not against that. Prabhupada said we even take a picture of him pulling money in. The Mayavadis, they want to push money away, but we want to pull money in for Krishna. But it all is for the service of Krishna. I mean, that's really the point. And then we won't get bewildered. I mean, we get bewildered by seeing sometimes they even give up the regulated principles and even become eaters of murkies. Chickens. It's ridiculous. Then you lose your compassion. I mean, what's a devotee? This has nothing to do with sectarian religion, whether you're a Hare Krishna or a Christian. Compassion is the most essential item. And if you are hurting another living entity, that shows how bewildered people can get, right? How can someone harm another living entity just for the satisfaction of their tongue? It's unbelievable how bewildered someone can become. So we have to be very careful about these bewildering factors. And so just remain simple like you all are, and nice, not too sophisticated. That's what I enjoy about it. Things aren't so sophisticated, isn't it? Like the devotees go out and Harinam. They have a good time. There's a holy festival where everybody just goes into the stores and throws colors at everybody else. And they go into everyone's house and give them abhisheks with colors. I mean, it's very nice, isn't it? So this is my appreciation of all of you. You're all very fortunate to live in such a society. Take advantage and do your bhakti. Be very serious with your bhakti, because that's what's going to give you happiness. The bhakti. Everything else can help the bhakti, but it's the bhakti, the chanting, the hearing, Krishna, hearing the chanting about Krishna, that's the nectar for which we're always anxious. So, any questions or comments? No? No questions. I mean, I want to thank you all for a nice reception. Hopefully, there won't be more viruses. So we can keep coming back. But you never know. I mean, this world is so uncertain. Who could have predicted, right, that we would have this virus? Nobody could predict it. Right? I mean, actually, it was obvious because people are eating so many animals, and the animals' diseases, they jump to human beings, tsunami diseases. So, it's obvious that something was going to happen. It's obvious that people are doing some of these simple activities around the world, and some reactions are coming. Global warming, other things too, possibly wars, famines. And so, yeah, it is Kali Yuga. It is Kali Yuga. But Fiji is almost like Sachi Yuga. Right? Don't worry, be happy. There's too many things to worry about. Then you get an anxiety. What if this? What if that happens? What if that happens? Well, what if you leave your body and you're not thinking of Krishna? What if you leave your body and you're thinking of your kava plantation? You'll become a kava plant in your next life. Right? That's looking at me, right? I hope you offer your kava to Krishna before you leave. Or at least the Lord Shiva. So, on that note, I think it's time for our breakfast prashadam. Everybody's happy. Oh, no work today, it's Saturday, right? So tonight we have a nice wedding. Very wonderful wedding. One of my disciples getting married tonight, and I'll be here for the wedding. And I'm looking forward to that. This is very nice when devotees marry nice other devotees. It's actually very auspicious. Sannyasis, devotees become very happy when they see good couples. Couples that work together, cooperate with each other in Krishna consciousness. I mean, I'm a sannyasi, I'm happy being the way I am, but I'm also happy to see people in stable situations where they can support each other in Krishna consciousness. So this is very auspicious. Marriages are very auspicious. So I'll be very happy to be here tonight. Okay. I guess we should end. All glories to His divine grace. Shri Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada, Okay.